Welcome back with another video on tryhackme.com. This is Zaheen Nazir and we are doing SOC level 1. This is our fourth video. So today we're gonna go for cyber kill chain. As you can see, we are on track and the overall progress is 2%. Let's get into cyber kill chain. Alright. The cyber kill chain framework is designed for identification and prevention of the network intrusions. You will learn what the adversaries need to do in order to achieve their goal. It is easy and it will take 45 minutes to do so. So I think we'll cover all of this maybe in one video or maybe in two videos. Okay. Let's get into it. Task introduction. So as you can see, there is a very nice graphic here. We need to recon, weaponize, delivery, exploitation, then installation, and then command and control, and action and objective. Okay. So there could be some input before recon, and there could be some steps after the objectives and actions and objectives. Okay. So let's see what we have here. The term kill chain is a military concept related to the structure of an attack. It consists of target identification, decision in order to attack the target, and finally the target destruction. Okay, so in our case, we usually go for the command and control, and then if we need to, for example, exfiltrate some data, we do the exfiltration and we are done. Destruction is mostly not part of the deal because the data is what we are after, but if there is an actual war going on, then the destruction could be one of the option. Okay, thanks to Lockheed Martin, the creator of F-16 fighter jet, a global security and aerospace company that established the cyber kill chain framework for the cybersecurity industry in 2011. Okay, I mean, they were far ahead in the industry of cybersecurity before anybody else, right? Based on the military concept, the framework defines the steps used by adversaries or malicious actor in cyberspace. To succeed, an adversary needs to go through all phases of the kill chain. We will go through the attack phases and help you better understand adversaries and their techniques using the attack to defend yourself. Okay, so why it is important to understand how cyber kill chain works. The cyber kill chain will help you understand and protect against ransomware attacks, security breaches, as well as advanced persistent threat, APT. We briefly touched upon this in our last room on the MITRE website. You can use the cyber kill chain to assess your network and system security by identifying missing security controls and closing certain security gaps based on your company's infrastructure. Okay, by understanding the kill chain as a SOC analyst, we are at the level 1, tier 1. Security researcher is on tier 2, and threat hunter is on tier 3. Or incident responder. You will be able to recognize the intrusion attempts and understand the intruders' goals and objectives. Okay, we'll be exploring following attack phases in this room: reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, action, or on objectives. Okay, learning objectives. In this room, you will learn about each phase of the cyber kill chain framework, the advantages and disadvantages of additional cyber kill chain outcome. Outcome is, as a result, you will be ready to recognize different phases or stages of the attack carried out by an adversary and be able to break the kill chain. Okay, answer the question, read the above. We already done so. We have completed. Awesome. Okay, so we are on streak 6 today. Over to task 2. All right, reconnaissance. Okay, to learn about the reconnaissance is from reconnaissance. What does a reconnaissance mean? Is military observation of a region to locate an enemy or a certain strategic features. Is from the attacker's perspective. First, let's define the term reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is discovering and collecting information on the system and the victim The reconnaissance phase is planning phase for the adversary. So we are looking and gathering the information about the target or victim in this case. So this is what we call reconnaissance. So what we use to do so? We use OSNIT, open source intelligence. Open source intelligence means the publicly available information that is there for us to gather. Also falls under reconnaissance. OSINT, open source intelligence, is the first step an attacker needs to complete to carry out the further phases of an attack. The attacker needs to study the victim by collecting every available piece of information on the company and its employees, such as company size, email addresses, phone numbers from publicly available resources to determine the best target for the attack. Alright, you can also find out more about OSINT, open source intelligence, from this Veronis article, Veronis article, which is this one. Just click on it and try to read the article. We're gonna move forward. Let's look at it from the attacker's perspective, who initially does not know about company he wants to attack. So we are attacker. Consider it from the attacker perspective. We don't know about the company. What we're gonna do? Okay. So these are the steps we're gonna do. Here is a scenario: a malicious attacker who names himself Megatron. Okay. So this is a reference from what you say, a villain in one of the movies. Okay, whereas the Optimus Prime is there. Transformers, yes, decide to conduct a very sophisticated attack that he has been planning out for years. He has been studying and researching different tools and techniques that could help him get to the last phase of the cyber kill chain. But first, he needs to start from the reconnaissance phase. In order to operate in this phase, the attacker would need to conduct open source intelligence. Let's have a look at email harvesting. So what is email harvesting? It's the process of obtaining email addresses from public, paid or free services. An attacker can use email address harvesting for a phishing attack. We briefly touched about the phishing attack and spear phishing attack as well. A type of social engineering attack used to steal sensitive data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. The attacker will have a big arsenal of tools available for reconnaissance purposes. Here are some of them. So the harvester, other than gathering emails, this tool is also capable of gathering names, subdomains, IPs, and URLs using multiple public data sources. So let's use it. So this harvester is GitHub open source tool. Okay, so I'm not gonna cover it yet. Maybe later on we're gonna use it in some way, right? So this was the advanced persistent threat that we were looking for before. I'm gonna close this one as well. Hunter.io, this is an email hunting tool that will let you obtain contact information associated with this domain. So let's open it and see what we have here. So we can start with free. I think they will always require you to have an email or something like that, right? So I'm gonna move forward. And open source intelligence framework itself. Open source intelligence framework provides the collection of open source intelligence tools based on various categories. So we have the framework itself as well. Let's see. It take time to open it up. So what do you guys do exactly? I don't see anything here. 1 minute. I'll focus on gathering. So this is the framework on GitHub, and these are all the information that is available. Wait a minute. I don't know what kind of tools are available here, but this is only a Git repo here, GitHub repository. An attacker would also use social media websites such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, in this case X, Instagram, to collect information on a specific victim. he would want to attack or the company. The information found on social media can be beneficial for an attacker to conduct a phishing attack. All right. What is the name of the intel gathering tool? That is web-based interface to the common tools and resources for open intelligence. What is the name of the tool? I don't know what is the name of tool, but let me try this. Yeah, okay, intel gathering tool. Okay, so this is framework, not a tool, right? This framework provides a collection of tools. What is the definition for the email gathering process during the stage of reconnaissance? What is the definition for email gathering? Email harvesting. Email harvesting here. Sometimes the questions are really confusing, right? Task 3, weaponization. All right. So this is weaponization. As you can see, we are trying to target a bug here. After a successful reconnaissance stage, Megatron, the evil transformer, would work on crafting a weapon of destruction. He would prefer not to interact with victim directly, and instead he will create a weaponizer that, according to Lockheed Martin, combines malware and exploit into a deliverable payload. Most attackers usually use automated tools to generate the malware, or refer to the dark web. So dark web is where you go and buy banned tools which are not available publicly or anywhere on the internet. That's why we call it a dark web. It is available through Tor network, if you know about this. To purchase the malware, more sophisticated actor or nation-sponsored APT. That means if some nation, some country is trying to exploit and try to hack you or try to target you, the number of tools and expertise will be exponential to the individual hackers that are trying to attack you. Okay, so that's why we call it advanced persistent threat. The threat will always be there. We need to make sure that we put in place some policies, standards, practices, and tool set to prevent the attacks from advanced persistent threat group. Okay, that's why we call it APT, because it's always there, and they are increasing their capability, their research, their skills. They're building new tools, so we need to do the same. We need to continuously improve ourselves, build new tools, find how they are targeting our systems and how we can defend against the tools that they are using. Okay, would write their custom malware to make the malware sample unique and evade detection on the target. Yes. So how to evade the detection? Because we have signature based detection system, so just change few lines of code, the hash will be different, and that way you will evade the detection. Or encrypt your payload, it will also evade the detection, or encode your payload, it will also evade your detection. But now we have toolset like antiviruses, which are also looking at the behavior of the application or the tool or the executable or any kind of task or payload. So based upon the analysis, heuristic analysis, behavior analysis, I will be able to determine if this tool is behaving suspiciously or it may be probable malware. All right. So this is how the evade detection works. But still, if you have advanced protection enabled, maybe some of the malware which are already caught and somebody is trying to trick your system by changing few lines of code, you will still be able to pinpoint the malware once it lands in your perimeter, right? But it really depends, and it's very subjective. Let's first define some terminology before we analyze the weaponization phase. Malware is a program or software that is designed to damage, disrupt, or gain unauthorized access to our computer. So it will cover the viruses, worms, backdoors, ransomware, everything it will cover. So the common name is malware. Okay. An exploit is a program or a code that takes advantage of vulnerability or flaw in the application or a system. All right. A payload is a malicious code that the attacker runs on the system. So we have a malware, we have exploit, and we have a payload. So a payload can contain one or more malware, and malware could be, payload could be like a malware but encoded. Getting it? So this is what we call a payload. Payload is basically the missile that we fire. All right. And what is inside the missile? It could be anything. It could be TNT or whatever. Continuing with our adversary, Megatron chooses to buy an already written payload from someone else in the dark web so that he can spend more time on other phases. All right. In the weaponization phase, the attacker would create an infected Microsoft Office document containing a malicious macro or VBA, Visual Basic for Application Scripts. If you want to learn about macro and VBA, please refer to the article Intro to Macro and VBA for Script Kiddies by Trusted Sec. So you know about the script kiddies. Script kiddies are the people who use other people's scripts, and they don't have really any kind of skill to create their own toolset. They will just copy paste and clone the script and run it. Okay. So that's why script kiddie will always be caught, because they are not building their own tool and they are not modifying anything. An attacker can create a malicious payload or a very sophisticated worm, implement it on the USB drive, and then distribute them in the public. An example of the virus. So if you know about the Mr. Robot, we call it, I think, rubber duck or something like that, in which you just put something in the USB and drop it somewhere where user will take this USB and plug into their system, and then this is how you hack the system by reverse shell. An attacker would choose command and control C2 techniques for executing the commands on the victim's machine or deliver more payloads. You can read more about the C2 technique in My Tier Attack here. Okay. So we're gonna move forward. An attacker would select a backdoor implant, the way to access the computer system, which includes bypassing the security mechanism. So this is what we call backdoor. So backdoor is usually created by developers of the system for their own kind of debugging. This term is referred to as a group of commands that perform a specific task. You can think of them as subroutines or functions that contain the code that most users use to automate routine tasks, but malicious actors tend to use them for malicious purposes and include them in Microsoft Office document. Can you provide the term for that? Macro. Alright, good. We are 18 minutes into the video and we are already on task 4. Awesome. Delivery. The delivery phase is written. Delivery phase is when Megatron decides to choose the method for transmitting the payload or the malware. He has plenty of options to choose from: phishing email, distribute infected USB, or watering hole attack. So let's see all of them. Phishing email: after conducting the reconnaissance and determining the targets for the attack, the malicious actor would craft a malicious email that would target either a specific person, spear phishing attack, or multiple people in the company. The email would contain a payload or malware. For example, Megatron would learn that Nancy from the sales department at the company A would constantly like the post on the LinkedIn from Scott, a service delivery manager at company B. He would give it a second guess that they both communicate with each other over work emails. Megatron would craft an email using Scott's first name and last name, making the domain look similar to the company Scott is working at. Maybe they will use what you call Unicode. What was the name of the attack or the technique that we learned yesterday, where you can create the domain lookalike by using some kind of Unicode? Okay, just check the video of yesterday. An attacker would then send a fake invoice email to Nancy which contains the payload. So once the Nancy will open the PDF or Word document, her system will be infected. Distributing infected USB drives in public places like coffee shops, parking lots, or on the street. An attacker might decide to conduct a sophisticated USB drive attack by printing the company's logo on the USB drive and mailing them to the company while pretending to be a customer, sending the USB devices as a gift. You can read about one of these similar attacks in this one, CS Online, where criminal group mails malicious USB dongles to targeted companies. Okay, if you want, you can go ahead and read about this, and we're gonna just move forward. Watering hole attack. A watering hole attack is a targeted attack designed to aim at a specific group of people by compromising the website they are usually visiting and then redirecting them to the malicious website of an attacker's choice. The attacker would look for a known vulnerability for the website and try to exploit it. The attacker would encourage the victim to visit the website by sending harmless emails pointing out the malicious URL to make the attacker work more efficiently. After visiting the website, the victim would unintentionally download malware or a malicious application to their computer. This type of attack is called a drive-by download. An example can be a malicious pop-up asking to download a fake browser attack extension. So this is a kind of extreme, right? Most of the things are, I think, phishing emails. This is the most successful and most common attack by statistics, and rest of them are very specific, right? And extreme cases. What is the name of the attack? When it is performed against a specific group of people, the attacker seeks to infect the website that the mentioned group of people is constantly visiting. So it's watering hole attack, right? All right. Awesome. We are to the task 5, exploitation. All right. To gain access to the system, an attacker needs to exploit the vulnerabilities. In this phase, Megatron got a little bit creative. He created 2 phishing emails. One that contains a phishing link to fake Office 365 login page. Another one containing a macro attachment that would execute ransomware when the victim opens it. Megatron successfully delivered these exploits and got 2 victims to click on the malicious link and open the malicious file. Okay. After gaining access to the system, the malicious actor could exploit software, system, or server-based vulnerabilities to escalate the privileges or move laterally through the network. According to CrowdStrike, remember CrowdStrike? CrowdStrike outage. Lateral movement refers to the techniques that a malicious actor uses after gaining initial access to the victim's machine to move deeper into a network to obtain sensitive data. If you want to learn more about server-based or web-based vulnerability, please refer to the Try Hack Me Room OWASP Top 10. I already done so, but I haven't covered any kind of video for that. But maybe later on I will cover some path like pre-security path, which is also I think 64 hours or something, in which all of these basic things are covered already, right? So maybe after SOC1 I will cover the pre-security path as well. Okay. The attacker might also apply a 0-day exploit in this stage. According to the FireEye, the 0-day exploit or a 0-day vulnerability is an unknown exploit in the wild that exposes a vulnerability in software or hardware and can create complicated problems well before anyone realizes something is wrong. A zero-day exploit leaves no opportunity for detection at the beginning. Okay, so hackers or the defenders or the SOC people nightmare is zero-day exploit. Zero days exploit is, for example, this is the website tryhackme.com, and there is a vulnerability. Nobody knows about this, but attacker found it somehow. Okay, and now that without telling it or exposing it on the internet, they will use this zero-day exploit to compromise your system, right? Since you don't know about this exploit, you cannot do basically anything because we don't have any opportunity to detect it until it is very late. Once the zero-day exploit is used to compromise the system, then we will have some kind of logs to see everything is compromised, and then we can basically, after the detection of that zero-day exploit, we will be able to do something. If the zero-day exploit is such that we cannot use we cannot detect even the zero-day exploit in our logs and in our alerts or anything, then we cannot do anything unless somebody report it to us or a large group of people are reporting some weird behavior on our application, and then we'll say, okay, there must be a zero-day exploit, and then we need to think about, okay, where could it be. We try to isolate the part which is having problem, and then we make the mitigation plan on top of it, how to remediate this particular zero-day exploit. All right, these are example of how an attacker carries out exploitation. The victim triggers the exploit by opening the email attachment or clicking on a malicious link. We know about this using a zero-day exploit. Sometime it is available, somewhere it doesn't available, but the most easiest way to do is to go for the phishing attack, which is sending an email attachment or malicious link. Exploit software, hardware, or even human vulnerabilities. So human vulnerabilities are social engineering. We exploit human vulnerabilities through social engineering. An attacker triggers the exploit for server-based vulnerabilities. Can you provide the name for a cyber attack targeting a software vulnerability that is unknown to the antivirus or software vendor? Yeah, it's a zero-day exploit. Zero-day. Awesome. So we are to task 6. I think we'll end the video on task 6, and once we come back, we'll start with the task 7, 8, and 9. Right? So let's go with task 6 now. So it's installation. As you have learned from the weaponization phase, the backdoor lets an attacker bypass security measures and hide the access. A backdoor is also known as an access point. Okay. Once the attacker gets access to the system, he would want to re-access the system or reassess the system if he loses the connection to it, or if he got detected and got the initial access removed, or if the system is later patched. He will no longer have access to it. That is when the attacker needs to install a persistent backdoor. A persistent backdoor will let the attacker access the system he compromised in the past. You can check out Windows persistent room. We need to check this out because this is very interesting room, right? And I have not completed this before. Okay, so this is post compromise and it's part of the red teaming, and it have a lot of tasks here. Okay, so maybe I will cover this one in the red teaming learning path, but now I will skip it for now. All right, I'll try Hackman to learn how an attacker can achieve persistence on the Windows. The persistence can be achieved through installing a web shell on the web server. A web shell is a malicious script written in web programming and web development programming languages such as ASP, PHP, JSP, whichever is available on the web server. Okay, used by an attacker to maintain access to the compromised system. Because of the web shell simplicity and the file formatting, .php, .asp, .aspx, PHP is for PHP, ASP is classic ASP, ASPX is the newer version of the ASP, JSP is Java servlet pages, and many more, can be difficult to detect and might be classified as benign. You may check out this great article released by Microsoft on various web shell attacks. Okay, go ahead and check this out. We're gonna move forward. Installing a backdoor on the victim's machine. For example, the attacker can use Meterpreter to install, which is the part of, I think, Metaxploit framework, to install a backdoor on the victim's machine. Meterpreter is a Metaxploit framework, yes, payload that gives an interactive shell from which an attacker can interact with the victim's machine remotely and execute the malicious code. So Meterpreter is widely known backdoor. So if the system is already have some kind of antivirus or security solution, it will detect the Meterpreter, unless you are using coding or encryption to hide this payload. All right. Critical to modifying Windows services. This technique is known as T1543.003 on MITRE attack. MITRE attack is a knowledge base of adversary tactics techniques based on real-world scenarios. An attacker can create or modify these Windows services to execute malicious script or payloads regularly as a part of the persistent. An attacker can use the tools like sc.exe. sc.exe, if you know about this, it is part of the Windows, which will let you create, start, stop, query, or delete any Windows service. Getting it? So if you install any kind of Windows service, that means it will always run once the system is even restarted or started, and you will always have a backdoor running as a Windows service. So this is a very worrisome technique to use the sc.exe, which is a legitimate process or tool available within the all Windows operating system. And registry to modify service configuration. The attacker can also masquerade the malicious payload by using a service name that is known to be related to the operating system or a legitimate software. Adding the entry to the run keys for malicious payload in the registry or the startup folder. By doing that, the payload will execute each time the user logs in on the computer. According to MITRE attack, there is a startup folder location for individual user accounts and a system-wide startup folder that will be checked no matter what user account logs in. That is very true. Maybe we'll check this one in the red teaming learning path. You can read more about the registry run keys startup folder persistent on one of the MITRE attack techniques. Go ahead and check it out. We're gonna move forward. In this phase, the attacker can also use time stomping technique to avoid detection by forensic analysis, and also to make the malware appear as a part of the legitimate program. The time stomping technique lets an attacker modify the file's timestamp, including the modify, access, create, and change time. So for example, if the attack happens right now at 10:14 p.m., but you change the time itself, right? So the log happened, for example, 9:14 p.m. So once you try to correlate the logs, even in your SIEM solution, you will not be able to correlate, and you will not be able to see what happened unless you know about time stomping technique can be used, and then you find out, okay, this logs look suspicious. For example, at 10:15 p.m. Certain logs were written, but at 10:16 p.m. certain logs were written afterwards sequentially, but the time is 9:15 p.m. So how it could happen, right? So this is how you will be able to correlate and check if there is any issue within the logs itself, if somebody is using time stopping technique. Can you provide the technique used to modify the file time attribute to hide new or changes to the existing file time? Stomping. All right, I'll just copy and paste here. Awesome. Can you name it the malicious script planted by an attacker on the web server to maintain access to the compromised system and enables the web server to be accessed remotely? So it's a web shell, right? Web shell. Awesome. So thank you guys for joining me on this journey. We have completed from task 1 to task 6. Once we come back, we're gonna go through task 7 to task 10. So thank you guys for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and help us build our community. And if you have a suggestion, please put it in the comments down below and I will get back to you. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.